Episode 3 of the What's Buzzin podcast. I'm your host, Sam Degnan, back again with Michael Fraley and Will Mortensen. Today, we have a jam-packed episode. We are tasked today with redrafting the 2011 NFL Draft. As I was going through this, I just realized how deep this draft was. I honestly, this is one of the deepest drafts in NFL history. When I was going through the first round, and even beyond that, there were so many names that I recognize as elite level players like Cam, JJ Watt, Vaughn, Patrick Peterson, and then Julio and AJ, which we'll get into that. But also it was a really weak QB draft. Super weak. Other than Cam and maybe Kaepernick, not much going for it. Mm-hmm. So what are some things you guys noticed about the draft?
Yeah, I agree. Weak QB draft, but I didn't realize how much talent there was in the first round. A lot of these first round picks ended up really paying off for teams. A lot of guys delivered on their draft stock and lived up to their draft position. But then there are also some serious steals in later rounds as well. Some real talent that fell a little bit too. So that was interesting to see.
Not to mention some serious busts.
Yeah, there were a couple serious busts.
Jake Locker, yikes. Blaine Gabbert. They're all QBs. Within the first 15 picks, all the people who at least didn't do anything in the league were Gabbert, Locker, and Ponder. Everyone else had moments, right? And had at least a couple of good seasons.
Right.
Which is this is honestly one of the worst QB drafts I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know, Degnan, you were looking a little bit at 2012 and QB drafts in more recent years, and yeah, I agree with that. This one was really weak, as 3 of the 4 QBs that went in the first round were basically flops.
Yeah, so this redraft just puts all these questions in mind, if some of these teams in the mid to late first round didn't take a quarterback and actually took a Pro Bowl type player, they could have developed and then maybe tanked, maybe got Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, RG3. Because honestly, we can get into this later, but if RG3 didn't get hurt, I think his career goes completely differently. Because he was that good his rookie year, but just injuries just derailed him. So I think, this draft was super interesting, and I think it's going to be just a fun little challenge to redraft this.
Well, one thing, another thing that I thought was kind of insane when I was looking over this draft is the amount of edge rushers /
Yeah.
We'll definitely get into this a lot more. Not necessarily even the top 10, but picks 10 through 32. I think I had, even in the actual draft, I think there were 7 or 8 or 9 even, and I had the same amount in my redraft.
Yeah, this is one of the best defensive line drafts of all time because you got a couple Hall of Famers for sure, and then you got a bunch of 10+ sack guys for 3-4 years who just made impacts in the league and even beyond the first round. So, I think we should address something first. So, how do you guys want to draft? So, are we going to draft from the perspective of the team, filling a need, or are we just going to draft best overall player? Or are you guys going to factor in both? Because I personally factored in both.
Yeah, I'd probably do both, a little bit of both, to be honest. Because if you just take the best available player, then it's a lot.
It's just not as fun to think about the hypotheticals too.
It's not as realistic either. I factored in both as well. I think that's the way to go.
All right.
You also can't really debate that, so that's why we got it.
A little bit.
And you can't.
Julio will take something interesting. Okay, so who wants the first pick?
I'll take it, I guess. Pretty easy one.
Degnan, do you mind if I take 2?
I'll take 3. That works, and then we'll alternate. So Michael to get 4, and then we'll keep going to 30 or 32.
So, first pick, Carolina Panthers. I think we all know where this one is headed. I'd say they picked Cam Newton again in the redraft. I thought for a little bit, kind of based off what you guys said, how good the 2012 quarterback draft was. I thought put in a sneaky J.J. Watt in there, just to mix things up. But then I realized, NFL teams taking quarterbacks. If you need a quarterback, you take a quarterback. Not focusing on where Cam is now, but his early years in Carolina, 2015 MVP, Super Bowl appearance. Even though the Super Bowl was terrible and they got smoked.
They didn't even get that smoked. Like they couldn't score.
It was. They get smoked.
That was another ugly Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean that he had a final drive, right, in the fourth where they were down like 6 or 8, and like he had a chance.
And
dive for a fumble. So.
Yeah, that's gonna. He could have been his career if he would have won that. Like could have gone like his perception could have been so different. Because like at this point, like he's currently is he unsigned?
Free agent.
He's a free agent. He's not signed. And he's just disrespected because people forget like he was 5,000 rushing yards in his career, 3,500 throwing yards for at least 4 straight years, right?
Yeah, I mean he set the rookie passing and rushing yard records.
In his first game, he threw for over 400 yards in his first game.
He was a Pro Bowler. He was Pro Bowler that year, his rookie year, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing with him is like he was surprisingly inconsistent as like a winner, mostly because like he would go from 15-1 seasons to like 6-10 the next year, like while playing all 16 games, and then like 11-5, 7-9, and just like. I don't know. He never really seemed to find that consistency. You know what I mean? Like he's still like he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I think he's, like one of the overall like top 50 we've seen in the last decade.
Well, he's pretty hurt now though too, and I think that's a large part of it. Like, I think what you said is important. Like, I don't think a lot of teams really see that same competitiveness that they'd want in the quarterback. Not necessarily based off of just the fumble incident in the Super Bowl, but I feel like he definitely does deserve a spot in the NFL team.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily blame one for not signing him.
Mm-hmm.
Just based off of the shoulder injuries and the foot injuries.
The craziest thing though is like before last season, he missed like 2 games in his career. Like he was like 16 games played for like the first 7 years of his career, and his play style too, where he would just run over guys because he was just so unique.
Yeah,
he had like legit 4.5 speed as QB, and he was also like one of the strongest dudes on the field. So it was just he was so fun to watch, and the fact that he maintained that his health for like that long was impressive. But like at this point, like I don't know how he's going to get back to that same level.
Yeah, especially because it's so natural for a rushing quarterback to wear down like he has a little bit in the last couple of years.
And he was also never that good of a thrower too. And now his shoulder has problems.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I think the Panthers, you have to take Newton.
Yeah. You have to, yeah.
Just because of what he did for that franchise, and he made them consistently a contender. And also there was no guarantees that they win out on the Andrew Luck sweepstakes next year. Like like Mike said, if you see a quarterback at number 1 who's an MVP level player, you take him.
Right.
It is.
And we saw what happened with Luck too. So
yeah.
I mean
Cam's still in the league.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, yeah, but
yeah.
But
well, okay. Who's more? You have 2?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm gonna actually. I don't know if Degnan's gonna be surprised by this. I'm gonna say Denver takes Von Miller if they are able to redraft here. I think they're gonna stick with Von. Same pick as they made in 2011. I mean, you could argue they'd take JJ, but Von Miller's a 3-time first-team All-Pro player. He's played 9 seasons, 8 of them he made the All-Star game. He was an or the Pro Bowl.
The
not
Pro
the
Bowl.
game. I'm thinking for some reason I'm thinking NBA. Yeah, 8 of them he made the Pro Bowl. He missed a couple games in 2013, but I mean he's had double-digit sacks in all but 2 of his seasons. He was the leader of that defense that won the Super Bowl, that carried Peyton to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think, even though JJ's a great player, I still think Denver would go with Vaughn at this spot.
Yeah, JJ is the better player, but you have to. I mean, Vaughn won you a Super Bowl, and like he was so consistent. Like if they were put in that position again, they would take Vaughn, mostly knowing what they know now because they won a Super Bowl. People forget that like Peyton got benched in that season by Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
Like Brock Osweiler took his spot for like a couple of games in his like final season because he was that bad. And, you know, credit to Von Miller and that Broncos defense for, you know, picking them up and winning the Super Bowl. I agree with you more. I think, I mean, there's an argument that can be made for Watt, but I feel like you got to take Miller here.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the classic, if it ain't broke, don't fix it logic.
Yeah.
Von Miller, he's just as good. I mean, I'd say J.J. Watt's a little bit better just based off of stats and achievements.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, not by enough where it's so completely ridiculous to take him or to take Vaughn over J.J.
Yeah.
And that Super Bowl season for Denver in 2015, in the AFC Championship, Vaughn had a pick and 2.5 sacks, as well as 2 tackles for loss. And in the Super Bowl, he had 2.5 sacks and 2 quarterback hits as well. So like he showed up late in the year. Huh?
I think he forced a fumble.
He might have forced that fumble on Cam, or he recovered. No, he forced the fumble.
He forced that fumble on Cam, I believe.
Yeah, on the outside and swiped it from him.
I mean, he's clutch. Like he's definitely
arms too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a problem in that AFC Championship game. Like it was. I remember that being a low scoring game against Brady in Denver, and like again, he showed up to play. He's just one of those guys. Like Mike, you're right. I mean, knowing what they know now, you got to take him. Like you have to take. Vaughn.
And he's also. I mentioned he missed 7 games in 2013. Other than that season, he's only missed 2 games over his entire career. So he's been remarkably healthy for a guy who a lot of people said was undersized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I have the 3rd pick with the Bills. No surprise here. Here's the first change of the draft. You got to take Watt. Watt is a 3 times Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All-Pro. He has battled some injuries, but every year he's been remotely healthy. It's like 15 plus sacks. He's one of the best pass rushers of all time. Even with his injuries, multiple 20-sack seasons. This is a no-brainer. I'm just thinking like, how would this have affected the Bills? You know what I mean? Because they took Darius here, and Darius was okay. I mean, he had a couple good seasons, right? But if they could get the production and, you know, have someone to pair with Kyle Williams for a couple of years, you know, maybe they could have – I'm not saying that they didn't really have a quarterback at the time, but I feel like their reality in the AFC East could have gone a little differently if they took Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I would kind of agree with that. Like, obviously, they would be better if they took Watt. But, like, how much – like, I don't think they would have been –
I'm not saying they would have, like, overtaken the Pats or anything. But I'm just saying, like, Watt is that much of a game changer. You know what I mean? I think he's just – I feel bad for him now in the Texans because, you know, they took away –
his whole team.
It's just him and Deshaun.
Right. Well, I think – I feel bad for him now, but I think I would have felt bad for him too if he was stuck on the Bills in the division with the Patriots for so many years. Because you said he's a game changer, and they would have been far more competitive. But I still don't think that he would have played in any more playoff games if he were on the Bills. I think his talent would have been a little bit wasted there to an extent since Brady and Belichick ran that division for so long.
I think he's one of the best pass rushers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree with that. And yeah, you're right. They have to take him here. Yeah.
And he's just like, if because he's missed like 2 or 3 seasons, it feels like. I feel like it's every other year he's got a shoulder problem or
Yeah.
a tricep problem or one of those things. But I just feel like he's just one of the best pass rushers of all time, and I think a lot of people will see him as that, by the time his career ends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Mike, you have 4. Is that the Bengals pick?
It is the Bengals. And now I think this is a pretty easy pick, to be honest. Julio Jones, wide receiver. They originally picked AJ Green here, but like knowing what we know now, I would say Julio is 100% the better receiver. Not that AJ Green's bad or anything. He's one of the best in the league. I wouldn't say any more, to be honest. I wouldn't say he's like top 5 or anything.
Yeah.
But right now, give me Julio Jones over anyone else in the league. He would have been perfect for that team. Who actually they had a couple pretty good years with Dalton.
Yeah. They had a good defense. Their defense had a good stretch.
I think honestly, Julio puts them over the top and gets them a couple wins in the playoffs. Because I was looking at Julio's playoff stats. He's like honestly one of the clutchest performing wide receivers. I mean, we've seen like he's like 6 games, like 6 touchdowns, over 100 receiving yards. Had honestly a top 5 Super Bowl catch of all time.
That's true. That's very true. People forget about that.
But
Yeah,
the crazy thing, it wasn't even the best Super Bowl catch in that game because of Edelman's crazy catch as well.
Right.
But he performs in the clutch, and he hasn't been plagued by injuries like Julio or like AJ has over the past couple of years. I was trying to look online to see like comparisons between the two, and for like I found a bunch of posts from like 2016, right? And like people were genuinely thought AJ was better because like if you look at AJ, and we'll get more into this when he's picked later on, but he was a consistent like 70 to 80 plus catches a year, like 6 to 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving, and he was an absolute stud playing with Andy Dalton. And I just think Julio's longevity as a receiver, and he's also the most talented and gifted wide receiver I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he does everything perfectly.
6'6", elite speed, good ball skills, good route running. I mean, what more do you want? There's like literally no flaw into his game except that he doesn't get the ball enough.
Yeah.
And the one thing, I mean, this is an issue for some fantasy owners, I know, but he doesn't find the end zone quite as much as AJ. But yeah, I agree that you have to take Julio here. I think he's the better receiver, even with that small knock of him weirdly not finding the end zone as much as people would expect.
I know, you would think he'd be a better red zone target considering his size and his vertical, and I think that's more of just a knock on, Kyle Shanahan and Steve Sarkisian, past Falcons offensive coordinators, and Matt Ryan too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have an interesting question. How much better do you think AJ Green is in the Falcons offense?
I mean, not that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's tough because, like, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ's like they're very similar, right? I mean, if you look at their stats too, like from their first 5 years in the league, it's like nearly identical.
Yeah.
And I mean, clearly, well, I don't know because that's tough because like I feel like the Falcons for a while were like the Bengals of the NFC. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't get over the hump, and then they beat Seattle in that very close game, and then they just destroy the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and then somehow just like that, they're in the Super Bowl. But other than that, like, have they won a playoff game, or have they won?
They won. So they got to the NFC Championship game in 2012.
Oh, they did against the Niners.
Then they had obviously 3 different games in 2016. Then they had 2017 where they beat the Rams and lost to the Eagles. in the divisional round.
Yeah, and that's when that was a tough game for Julio because he had a red zone target at the end of that game, and he couldn't haul it in.
But I mean, he still had 9 for 101 yards too.
Yeah.
And some other games, he's had 11 for 182 and 2 touchdowns in a loss to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
He had 10 for 180 against the Packers in that other NFC Championship game. I mean,
he's a stud, Hall of Famer.
Right. Yeah, and his production, his actual his touchdowns per game in the playoffs is way better than it is in the regular season.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about too.
I think for that reason, you just got to take him.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, more.
Cardinals.
The Cardinals, they picked Patrick Peterson at this spot in 2011, and I think they ought to stick with that. I'll take Pat Pete at 5 again. 8 Pro Bowls. He missed time last year, but other than that, he's been pretty healthy. Let's see. Yeah, 3 first team All-Pro selections. He's got 25 career picks. He's also a good return man. I mean, he's been a stalwart, probably he's been the most consistent player on Arizona.
He was a cornerstone of that team that made it to the championship game in 2015. I mean, honestly, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. That should have been a Packers. A Packers. Panthers.
That sounds like a salty Packers fan.
I mean,
Packers fan.
That was just because Larry Fitz just went God mode in overtime.
Well, first of all, it should have never gone to overtime.
Dude, who caught that? Was it Jeff Janis? Was that Jeff Janis who caught that?
That was the clutchest Jeff Janis has ever been in his life.
Hail Marys aren't supposed to happen, first of all.
Okay, the first one,
With Rodgers, though, they do happen.
The fact that they've happened 4 times. It happened 4 times in 2 years. Yeah. Right? Because it happened in the Lions. It happened twice in the Cardinals game. It was 4th and 25. Remember when we were on the Wolf trip and we were watching on the phone?
That was crazy.
We were watching on Jang's phone. And
the 4th and 20.
The 4th and 25 was God, it's over. And then Rodgers rolls out to his left. And it just chucks it 45 yards.
I still think that's the best throw I've ever seen.
Ridiculous throw.
I disagree. I think his throw against the Cowboys a couple years ago.
The one.
That's true. That's true.
That was rolling to his left to Cook on a dime.
Yeah, yeah. That one was the best. Yeah.
But
broke Skip Bayless's heart, which we love to see because we don't like Skip Bayless.
Nobody likes
Skip
Bayless.
Yeah, we do not.
Okay, but back to Pat Pete though. He was just a stud on that, Cardinals team. He's still underappreciated. He could have done so much more in his career. I mean, if he was on another team, playoff wise, I mean, it's hard for one player other than a quarterback to affect a team overall in the NFL. And that's clearly shown by running backs who are on terrible teams. And I just think if he was in the right system, he could have been.
Well, I mean, the Cardinals, they had 3 or 4 pretty good seasons with Bruce Arians. So I think for a while, he was on the right team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People forget they were 9-0 one year, and then 3 quarterbacks got hurt for them. Their first 3 quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, they were starting Drew Stanton by the end of the year. I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, nothing that's gone wrong with the Cardinals has had anything to do with Pat Pete. I mean, he's been excellent. So I can't see them wanting to pick anyone else at this spot.
People during this draft, people were like, Pat Pete is by far the best player in the draft. As a prospect, there wasn't a flaw in his team. You know what I mean? Because he's got good size, good speed, really good technique as a corner. And he's one of the toughest corners to go against because he can guard so many different types of receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a good pick here too. He's also made the all first team as a rookie, which is ridiculous to be one of the 2 best players in your position as a rookie.
Yeah.
Is just really impressive. So I'm now on the clock with the Browns pick. So this was originally the Browns pick because the Falcons, I think, traded up to get Julio here.
Yeah.
And I think if the Browns weren't the Browns, I think they take AJ Green here. AJ Green is just a stud. He for like at his peak, like he was a consistent 70 plus receptions, over 1,000 yards, 6 to 10 touchdowns per year. Was one of the best receivers in the NFL. Injuries have derailed his career a little bit, and he's also been like consistently franchise tagged over the last couple of years, and he's kind of in a tough spot right now. But I think honestly, like if he can get healthy and he forms a good connection with Joe Burrow,
yeah,
I think the Bengals. I have no clue about this coach Brian Day though, like he could be. We don't know yet because he's just been
Ryan Day
or isn't that the coach?
No, it's Zach Taylor.
Oh, Zach Taylor. What was I thinking? My bad.
Ohio State.
Oh my God! Oops. But anyway, I think AJ Green is just top 5 wideout, one of the most talented receivers we've seen coming in to the league, and he's had a really good career so far.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. Yeah.
Do you guys have AJ taken here too?
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
I feel like the first 6 were no brainers, but
it does start. It starts to get a little more difficult as we get to 7 here. So
I'm really interested to see what you guys have at 7.
Yeah.
I feel like I did something a little bit different, but we'll see.
Mike, you're 7, right?
Yeah, I am. So 7 49ers original pick was Aldon Smith, who career trajectory was insane.
Yeah, his first 2 years.
Second year, 20 sacks.
Yeah.
And a half. First year, 14, which is just like, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But I mean, just again and again and again, off the field issues.
Mm-hmm.
Suspended since 2015. Actually signed with the Cowboys, which is textbook Cowboys. But I don't blame them for that because if
just
the potential.
Yeah, potential. But because of those off the field issues, I have the 49ers taking Justin Houston, former Chiefs edge rusher. Probably fill that same role. I would say Justin Houston. Like I don't know his career stats, but
he had 1 year where he had like 21 sacks.
Yeah, he's been pretty good his entire career.
Yeah.
Not sure if he's Hall of Famer or not, but he's been pretty consistent All-Pro, Pro Bowler. So, yeah.
Yeah, Houston went to 4 Pro Bowls. 2014, he actually had 22 sacks. So,
jeez.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, he's been a serious force.
Where is he now? Is he out of the league or is he still there? I don't really know where he is.
I think he's on the Colts. Yeah, he's on the Colts. He's kind of old though, so like I don't know how much he does for them, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was consistent, like near 10 sacks a year. And he was just really good for a bunch of players' development on the Chiefs too. But I think I went a different route here. I was surprised you didn't go Cam Jordan here, Mike. I was honestly surprised that you didn't do that.
Yeah, as a Saints guy.
Well, I mean, I thought about it. I will say that I used I looked to like other websites, other drafts for some inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to be honest, like career-wise, I think Justin Houston has better stats. And like kind of like what I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, there's so many edge rushers where like, I mean, you couldn't really go wrong with either one. I think that's a fine pick, to be honest. Like I understand the Cameron Jordan there. I just think Houston's a little bit better.
Yeah, at his peak, he was one of the best pass rushers we've ever seen. I mean, 22 sacks. Yeah. He was so fast off the edge too. and I think he was really a problem. I went a different route. I took Sherman here.
Ooh.
Okay. I can see how he would go that early, especially if you're basing things just purely off of what he's done over his career. So
Yeah, I mean, he's not only if the 49ers take him here, not only are you getting Sherman for the front half of his career, but you're also taking him away from Seattle. And, he's multiple-time Pro Bowler. He was like the head of Legion of Boom. And by taking him away, it gives Seattle a completely different look. And I also think that it puts the 49ers over the top of that Seattle, like in that division, and maybe get them a couple more Super Bowls. Who knows? Like, I feel like it completely changes things. And I think Sherman's one of the 7 best players in this draft, like Hall of Fame cornerback for sure. So I went Sherman here.
Okay.
Mort, who'd you go?
I went with Justin Houston as well here.
That's a fair pick, though.
I think that like the 2011-2012 49ers defense, though, were actually they were some game wreckers.
Allen Smith, Navarro Bowman was pretty good.
Patrick Willis, Dante Hittner. He changed his name to that, honestly.
He did?
He did that, yeah.
Didn't they? Wasn't his name Justin Smith? Or they had this good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Smith from the 49ers. He was a very good defensive end. And but I think adding, because I don't who are the Niners corners there? I don't remember.
I don't know what their secondary was that year.
But I think just adding them puts them over the top of Seattle, which was like their main competition at the time, because they played in the NFC Championship, and I remember like the infamous Richard Sherman post-game rant after the pick on Kaepernick and what's his name, Michael Crabtree.
Yeah,
I think that just changes things. But I get the Justin Houston pick though. Like, I think I have him going soon as well.
All right. Yeah.
So that takes us to 8, huh?
Yeah, the Titans.
So this is where Jake Locker went.
The first true bust.
Yeah. This is the first true bust of this draft.
Where did he go to LSU?
No, he was at Washington. Okay. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Zach Mettenberger.
But he was a late round pick though. Like, he wasn't a first round.
Yeah.
So I thought, with this pick, obviously they went with a quarterback. The 2 quarterbacks that I could have seen them taking at this point were Kaepernick or Dalton. But I think ultimately at this spot, I went with Tyrone Smith because he's just like a ridiculous, like his career has been ridiculous with the Cowboys. He's been a mainstay on that top offensive line. So I think it's very hard to say that Dalton or Cap would have had a real impact on Tennessee, but I think that Tyrone Smith has an impact on any team. So that's why I went with him here.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I didn't go him yet. I have him going soon. I went Cam Jordan here. Mostly just because of the consistency.
Yeah.
Because he's just a Pro Bowler, all-time or first team all pro a couple times too, and consistently near 9 or 10 sacks even as his career was just starting. So just to give them a consistent top defensive end at 8 is just really good value. Tyron Smith though is just super impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of those. I actually had Sherman here.
Okay.
Based off of taking the best player logic, which I think makes the most sense. I looked it up. I remember they had Cortland Finnegan on that team, most infamous for the Andre Johnson fight.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I do remember that.
But outside of him, they didn't really. They were kind of average on defense, I think. So I mean, taking Sherman, like if you automatically take probably the second or probably the best or second best in this draft for a corner, like your team already goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my logic.
I mean, I can understand both the Jordan and Sherman picks there. The reason I picked Smith is because I don't think that I guess like finding a quarterback, other than finding a good quarterback or a good pass rusher, arguably the hardest position to find is a pass protector or left tackle. So I think for that reason, that's why I went with Tyron Smith. He's made 7 straight Pro Bowls,
Yeah.
2-time first team All Pro.
He's been so healthy too. He's never played less than 13 games in a season.
Yeah.
And I think if Tennessee, because Mariota was like consistent. Like I'm not saying Mariota would have been anything, special.
Yeah.
But if you pair him with 2 elite tackles with Taylor Lewan and Tyron Smith, like who knows? Things could have turned out differently for him. Because I for what I remember is part of this is due to just like bad quarterback play, but Mariota was like always running in the pocket in Tennessee games because he just like was always getting hit and whatnot. I think having just a more secure offensive line makes them a little bit scarier.
Mm-hmm.
9. So I have Dallas, and I took Tyron Smith here.
Yeah,
because like they were spot on. Mike, who'd you have here?
I also had Tyron Smith, basically for the same reasons that we just mentioned. I think the Cowboys, like they're off. I don't know. It's still pretty good, but like from like 2012 on, their offensive line has been top 3 in the league. That's why I think DeMarco Murray was so good there. That's why Zeke is so good there.
They're still 8-8 though.
What?
Yeah.
They're still always due for an 8-8 every couple of years.
Yeah. So yeah, still somehow 8-8 with that offensive line. Not sure I really understand that, but yeah. I think left tackles are also like probably I mean, you could argue they're like the second most important position on the offense. It may seem like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
If you can't even protect your quarterback, like,
and especially with the amount of elite edge rushers that came out of this draft, like having a top tier offensive tackle to protect you for next 10 years is just so important. I think Dallas got that.
Yeah. And I mean, I mean, the only reason it makes a lot of more sense, I think, to put him at 9 where he went originally. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, with what you guys are saying. He's just he's been an excellent player for his entire career. So, Mike, move on to 10.
It's Washington, right? Or is this Jacksonville?
This is Jacksonville.
Oh shit!
So
I assume
they picked Blaine Gabbert.
You better not be sticking with Gabbert, Mike.
Mike was telling me that he was thinking about doing that.
Well, shoot. So we have a problem here. No, but I went with a bit of kind of a sleeper / slightly boring pick. I actually have Ryan Kerrigan here.
I do as well.
I think, I was looking at some of his stats and like some of his accomplishments. He's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
A sleeper. He's been on the Redskins for a while now. He's been a starter for them since he was drafted. I think here I had some stats pulled up. He has as of like 2018, he had pretty much the same amount of games as Von Miller, and he only had 10 less sacks, about the same amount of forced fumbles, 3 more interceptions, and I think like only 15 less tackles. So pretty similar numbers to Von Miller, but no one ever talks about Ryan Kerrigan.
I mean, because he plays on a terrible defense, though.
Yeah.
Washington's just been – I mean, I had him going a little bit lower, mostly because of, like, how empty I feel his numbers were. Because, I mean, it was still, like, 12 to 14 sacks, straight for, like, 3 or 4 years, which is, like, impressive. But
yeah,
he's never a guy who I felt like could win one-on-one against some, like, elite pass blockers in a playoff game. Know what I mean? He's just one of those guys. Like,
not like I get what you mean. He's not like a game wrecker.
yeah, but he's like he'll get a sack or two a game. Like he'll find a way.
Yeah.
Because he's like a really smart player and
Yeah, he's always healthy too. He has always been healthy. Last year he missed 4 games, but that was the only year that he really missed significant time.
I went Houston here just because like how to get him off the board.
That makes sense.
But I think Kerrigan is. I don't know if he's because I think Kerrigan is like a really good player, but is he better than like Jarrell Casey? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have him going for a little bit.
That's fair.
Yep.
So who's more? You're 11?
I'm 11. So 11. This was Houston, and they took JJ. But obviously, I had JJ. I had Watt going 3rd overall. So at 11, I have Houston taking Robert Quinn. So
that's good.
Mike, you've been talking about game wreckers, and Quinn's a game wrecker. I mean, he's just been like he's just tough to match up against. He gets in the backfield. His teammates all say he's an excellent run stopper. So that's why I have Quinn going at 11 ahead of Cam Jordan or Cam Hayward.
That's crazy. I just Quinn kind of peaked like earlier in his career. Like if you look at some of his stats, he had 19 sacks in 2013, which is just crazy. And then he's just a 2-time Pro Bowler. But then if you look at, 2015, 5 sacks, 2016, 4 sacks, 2017, Los Angeles with the Rams, like 8.5, a little bit better. And last year he had 11.5, which was good, which is his best year in like 5 years. But he just kind of trailed off after his early production in St. Louis. So I don't know how you take him over Cam Jordan.
Yeah, I think his production between 2012 and 2015 was just absurd, and I don't think we have to value I guess the continued statistical output as much. I think the reason I have him here is just because between 2012 and 2015, the only pass rushers that were better than him were Watt and Houston. So, I mean, for that reason, I have him here. But I can definitely understand why you would take the consistency of Cam Jordan over.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're drafting him for his peak, like, then I'd see that. Because under Houston, like, and who was he? I'm forgetting his name. The Rams defensive coordinator. He's like the old guy, Mike. You know what I'm talking about with the white hair.
Bob Ryan?
No, not Bob Ryan. Los Angeles Rams.
Rob Ryan? No. I don't know.
Defensive coordinator. Damn, I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, but he was the old former Houston defensive coordinator, and he was a stud. And I think Quinn would be a great fit there, though, just as like a replacement, I guess, for JJ Watt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I get what you guys are saying. I think peak Robert Quinn was probably better than peak Cameron Jordan, but just based off of like longevity and consistency, like Cam Jordan is what? I think he's 30 or 31 right now, and he's still, he's like, not that the Pro Bowl means everything, because let's be honest, it definitely doesn't. But he's 30 years old right now. I would say he's one of the top 5 defensive ends in the league, or edge rushers, probably like 5 or 4. But he's probably an anchor, or he is an anchor on the Saints defense right now. And like I think I'd probably rather have the longevity and consistency over like 8 or 9 years.
I'm with you, Mike, but
well, there's longevity. The reason I took Quinn is because I think Cam Jordan he obviously got better with age, but he wasn't anywhere near as good from those years from 2012 to 2015 as Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, he's obviously great now, but he wasn't always good or as a game wrecker from the beginning. So I think, I guess it just depends on when you want the peak, kind of. I definitely agree that Cam Jordan has had a better career, but I just think Quinn, for his peak, deserves to be drafted at 11.
That's fair. I took Casey here, Jarrell Casey.
Okay.
From Tennessee.
Yeah.
I have Quinn falling for a little bit. I just don't think. I think Casey again. I just go for more consistency. Like that's the way I'm drafting.
Yeah.
Also, like Wade Phillips. That's the guy. Wade Phillips, Mike,
Yeah.
was the defensive coordinator, and he really valued like speed or not speed, but size and strength up front. And you can get like a tackle. I think Jarrell Casey was a tackle. If not, he was an end. He like played both positions, but 5-time Pro Bowler, was always one of the better defensive linemen in the league. And he was just like that model of consistency in Tennessee for a couple years. So I'd take him here though.
Okay. Then 12. Dagnan, you got the Vikes.
So Vikes at the time, I feel like forever they needed an offensive lineman, more specifically a center. And so this is where I think Jason Kelce goes off the board from the Eagles.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, you guys actually have that?
Yeah.
I think he's just such a cornerstone of that Eagles offensive line. Really helps in their zone run scheme, and he's just been so dominant and super good in pass protection as well, as the leader of that offensive line. So I think there's just you got to take him here. Also, just like he was a 6th-round pick too.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think he gives the Vikes just some consistency in that position that they've never had.
Yeah, he's been selected to 3 straight, or to 3 straight first-team All-Pro teams. I mean, this dude's like, he's well into his career now, and he's still performing as one of the best at his position.
To be honest, though, like, do I fault the Vikings for taking a quarterback there?
No.
No, but it's still hilarious to bring up Christian Ponder to Vikings fans.
That's true.
Ponder had some moments though. Like honestly, like in that, I remember it like it was like a 2012 like Week 17 game. Vikes needed a win to go to the playoffs. Like AP carried them, but like Ponder wasn't terrible, and for that people were like rejoicing. Like Christian Ponder's the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like I love Christian Ponder, and then somehow it was a playoff game, like the Packers, Vikes wildcard game. So the Vikes were on the road, and Ponder went down with this mysterious injury that still is unexplainable. Like I don't know what happened to him, and so they started Joe Webb for the playoff game against the Packers.
Yeah, that we know how that story ends.
Yikes.
So
I mean, I don't blame him for taking a QB, because who was their QB beforehand? Was it?
I think Favre played.
Donovan McNabb.
Was it Tavares Jackson?
Yeah, no, it was McNabb, I think.
McNabb.
Might have been Donovan.
Yeah, but McNabb really just tailed off at the end of his career. I think
he was just a filler till they could find till they could draft somebody, and Ponder was supposed to be that guy, and that didn't work out. So.
No.
I still remember a game, I think in like 2012, where McNabb had like 30 pass yards.
On the Vikes?
Yeah. Against like the chart. He was like 6 of 18 for like 30 pass yards.
He should have just known.
Who was he throwing to though? Like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like Vikes in those early like 2010 years, they just had it was Sidney Rice, Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
God, Sidney Rice was a monster. Sidney Rice was so good. I just remember Minnesota fans loved him.
Yeah.
The Lions. So this is Mort.
This is Mike.
Oh, this is Mike.
Well, Before we do this, last week we promised the daily MRRs, and I think now is the perfect time to get into that.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys agree. This week we have something not quite as ridiculous as the snack rankings from yesterday, but today we have top 5 NFL jerseys. Now, I think there's some bias that will be in my list.
Oh God, it's just gonna be all Saints and Vikes jerseys.
Like Saints home jersey, Saints away jersey,
Saints alternate jerseys. The Saints practice jerseys.
Nah. Okay, but there's a little bit of bias. But I'll continue anyway. So number 5 spot, I have the Steelers home jerseys. I think that's a classic, bold look. That's like, staple of the NFL. I think you would never go wrong, to be honest, with that. I think it's a really solid jersey. I don't know about you guys, but
I think it's just so classic. I mean, if you just said staple of the NFL and you don't have the Packers, like any Packers jerseys in your top 5, I'm gonna be a little.
Well, maybe I don't like the Packers jersey as much. Maybe I like the black and yellow a bit more.
I like green and yellow a bit
It's a
more.
better jersey. So Steelers home jerseys, number 5. Number 4, I actually had the Bengals color rush. Now this is the white.
I remember those being really
black
sick.
stripes on the shoulders on the pants.
Okay.
And on black stripes on the helmet too. I don't know why they don't wear these more, to be honest. I think these are great jerseys. I think Joe Burrow's gonna look nice in these. I love the stripes. I'm a big fan of the stripes. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, I like these jerseys a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're better than. Don't they have these orange ones too? Just like all orange. They're just like a little like chaotic. I think they're. Aren't they their home color rush? Or are they the away? They're the away color rush.
I think they're the away.
Yeah, I think they're still. I think they're filthy though. I think that's
I like
fair.
that. That's a good pick.
I like the Dolphins away color rush, to be honest. Or no, the Dolphins home. No, it's the Dolphins away when it's all teal. It's like teal.
I like the teal.
I think those are sick.
It's too bad the Dolphins never get prime time, so no one wants to watch them. So
unless it's some Thursday night game, where it's like Dolphins Jags.
Yeah.
Dolphins Jets game this Thursday night this year. I can't wait. My calendar is March.
It's gonna be Mike.
It's Tua though. I'm gonna watch Tua.
Mike parked on the couch with some cold pizza.
Some cold pizza.
You can book it. You can book it right now.
Thursday night staple.
All right, so number 4, Bengals color rush. Number 3, I have this for my bias comes in. I have Saints color rush jersey, white with gold stripes and gold numbers.
I do like those.
It was hard for me to not put these number 1, but I had to like really refrain from the bias and think like, okay, well, there are better jerseys. There are 2 better jerseys, but I wish these would be the away jerseys. I wish wear more often. The NFL, I hate the NFL rule. It's like you can only wear color rush 3 times a year.
That's a rule?
That's a rule. That's actually a rule.
See, like,
I have no idea.
Some teams need that though. Like or not the rule, but some teams like need to like get more fan excitement. So like a Bengals or the Browns, let them wear their color rush more often to like gain, because like people like those jerseys a lot. Yeah. But when your team sucks, like
the best.
What are you gonna get excited about?
NFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty good jersey. I love the gold numbers. Number 2, I don't know if this classifies as color rush, but it's the 49ers white and red throwbacks. The all white with the red stripes.
Those are pretty classic.
I think they said they wanted to try and wear them for the Super Bowl, but No Fun League said no.
Those are sick. I'm looking at them right now.
No Fun League.
I mean, it's classic No Fun League. I don't get jersey policies, to be honest.
Like, what do you gain from that?
Yeah, what do you gain from that? Like you're just prohibiting teams from wearing their best jerseys. I don't get that at all.
Like, I get if you want to like have some consistency with jerseys, I guess, but like when teams I mean, teams like their own jerseys, so they'll probably wear their home jerseys like more often. But like give them like 5 or 6 games that they can wear their color rush or
Yeah.
wear their alternates.
Yeah, like why make like such awesome jerseys if you can barely wear them?
Yeah.
It's got to be like 4 or 5 games out of the year.
Mike's been like
I think
spamming Goodell's
Mike's
office.
sending Goodell handwritten letters.
get rid of the color rush rule. No, I thought about putting in a large sum of money to watch the Monday Night Football game with Goodell. Yeah. So yeah, Niners jerseys number 2. Number 1, I have Chargers powder blue.
Yeah.
Those are sick.
Yeah.
Personally, I think this is an easy pick. You know, the new ones I think are the best edition of these, but even it's like the one they've had for the past 20 years or so, or like the one they had even back in the 80s, 70s, does not matter. They're the best jerseys in the league. I don't know if you guys have a different take.
I personally I don't like the Pats, but I like the Pats alternate where it's like the red jerseys
Yeah.
with like the white hat.
I thought about that, but they don't wear those though. That's the thing.
They wear them like every like 2 or 3 years, and when they do, it's like always so sick.
Well, they haven't since like 2010 though, which I don't get because those jerseys are awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? This is kind of going back to your point about jersey standards, Mike. The NFL should allow, if you're going to have a 4-game preseason, let the teams wear ridiculous jerseys or let the teams wear whatever jerseys they want to during the preseason. Like, let them try out different kinds of jerseys. Like, I don't get the standards that they have regarding jerseys in the league.
I don't either. It doesn't make any sense to me. But what do you guys think are the best ones though?
I like those.
Go ahead, Degman.
I also like the Packers alternates where it's like the blue, like the ugly blue color with like the yellow helmet, like the throwbacks, like the 1920s throwbacks.
Yeah,
like those are just so clean.
I love their ugly jerseys. Yeah.
No, but it's ugly. Like it's ugly. I said ugly because it's like an ugly blue color, but like
it's like
works.
navy or like really dark.
Yeah, it fits like the Packers vibe. You know what I mean?
Like Rodgers, yeah. Like Rodgers with the mustache looks pretty good in those unis.
Yeah, just like he's had some ridiculous mustaches over the years.
Yeah, I think, Mike, I like your pick of the Chargers powder blue. Those are probably my favorite. And then if we're going like throwback too, I like the old Houston Oilers jerseys.
Yes, those are sick.
I like those unis too.
Those would be nice. I wish they'd have a throwback.
Yeah.
They haven't done that in a while. Like the last time they wore those was like Matt Schaub.
Yeah.
Like, and then how bad is it? How much would it cost just to like wear those for like 1 game, like every couple of years?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Another one I think is like another jersey I think is like kind of slept on is actually the Jaguars like aqua ones. And they were
I like those.
Let me look at those.
I think those are pretty good. You know, obviously it's like who's ever gonna watch a Jaguars game? You know.
Oh yeah, those are sick. And those are like a main jersey that they wear too.
Yeah.
So I think those are sick.
Dude, but like any pleasure you get from like looking at those jerseys is like totally canceled out by having to watch Blake Bortles throw the football.
You're just drowned out by watching Doug Marrone coach. Like God. And just watch like the half-empty stadium cheer. Oh yay, we're only down by 15.
all like the retired people from up north, like yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. We still got 17 more picks.
So Mike is on 13 right now.
Yeah. So this is the Lions. Original pick was Nick Fairley from Auburn, who
wasn't bad, to be fair.
I remember watching him way back in the day. Everyone thought he was gonna be pretty good. Mm-hmm. He sucked.
He didn't suck. He just like.
I mean,
he wasn't great, and his career was super short.
Yeah.
No, he sucked.
I had
sucked.
Yeah, he was not very good.
I had Jarrell Casey here instead.
Okay.
Who actually I think probably might have gone a bit higher, but 4-time Pro Bowler. He's on the Broncos now, but was with the Titans for a while. Pretty solid, pretty good.
Yeah, I had him going earlier, but I think that's a solid pick. I had undrafted Chris Harris going here.
Really? I have him in the first round too, but I have him a little later.
I mean, the Lions just desperately needed a cornerback at this time, and still do. Even though I do like the Okuda pick, they still need more receivers or more corners. He's one time.
A shutdown corner though for really long. Oh, Darius Slay. Never mind.
I mean Slay, but like Slay was there in like 2016 or whatever. Chris Harris Jr., 4-time Pro Bowler, one-time first-team All-Pro. I think he was on the Super Bowl team. I think he was a key part of that Super Bowl team with Aqib Talib. I think he was just a really good player, and if you can get that value at 14, just he was a top 5 corner at some point in his career for at least a couple of years in Denver.
Yeah,
but
he was locked down. He was part of that Denver defense, so
yeah,
a really good Denver defense.
More to who do you have here?
At 13? 13 is where I have Cam Jordan going. So I obviously he doesn't play the same position. They're both in the D line, but I couldn't let Cam. I already probably let Cam Jordan drop too far. So
yeah,
I couldn't let him drop any.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Mike's even more mad.
I forgive you.
Yeah, I couldn't let him drop any further.
No, I get that. Best player, got to take him.
All right, the Rams, 14.
Rams at 14. This is another guy I maybe let drop a little too far. I had Sherman going here.
Wow, I took him at 7. You took him at 14.
Yeah. I took Sherman at 14. Obviously, they originally went with Robert Quinn. This is another one, Degnan. You had him going to the Niners, but this is another one within that division. The Rams would have taken him away from the Seahawks. They would have had him against the Seahawks twice a year instead of having to play him twice a year. Their secondary has never been all that strong.
It's never been good. Like I can't remember a good besides Jalen Ramsey or Aqib Talib.
Yeah,
I've never remembered like the Rams drafting a good corner.
When they were in St. Louis, like they did like nothing for like 5 years. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I think Sherman's a good fit in St. Louis for all of those reasons we just mentioned.
I had Kerrigan going here. Again, 10 sacks in his career, or 10 sacks per year for his career in 9 years. 4-time Pro Bowler, one of the better ones, but like I feel like his stats are a little empty just because of the team he plays on and whatnot. I think this is a fair spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Dolphins. I think this is 15. This one of those look kind of tough, but I went Mark Ingram here.
Oh.
This is mostly because the Dolphins were desperate need and still are, but like they were in desperate need of a running back during this time in 2011, and they took Pouncey, who's like a good player.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like, I think he's like a late first round kind of guy. But Mark Ingram's 3-time or nearly 4-time 1,000-yard rusher, 3-time Pro Bowler, very solid running back that they can pair with someone else to get a good duo with. I think he just fills a need for them, and I think he's one of the best. He's definitely a top 20 player in this draft for sure.
And his yards per carry is actually way better than people give him credit for too. Like earlier, like the first couple of seasons, it was like 3.9, but he's averaged close to 5 yards per carry for most of his seasons since those first 2 years. So he's actually he's not just like a red zone touchdown guy. Like he can catch passes, as we saw for Baltimore last year with 5 receiving touchdowns. Like he's a pretty complete running back.
Yeah, he's very versatile. You can put him out wide too, and he can make plays.
Well, look, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Much as I love some Mark Ingram for myself, I don't like that pick. I don't like that pick at all. And for
really,
mainly, I think running backs just are not like not a necessity to draft in the first like 25 picks unless you have like a Saquon Barkley or like a game-changing running back. You know, because I would much rather get like Mike Pouncey, like an anchor for my offensive line than a running back.
So did you keep Pouncey there then?
That's why I kept Pouncey there.
Yeah, I did that as well. I kept Pouncey there as well.
I think building a running back can only do so much without an offensive line. Like, let's be honest, unless you have like a McCaffrey or a Dalvin Cook, guys who are just like so naturally talented that they can just run through anyone, right? But like Mark Ingram was never. I mean, the first like 4 years at the Saints, he was just kind of there. He didn't really do much. But I just based off of the fact that I think building a team through the offensive line is way more important, I would take Pouncey.
I think that's fair. I mean, I'm kind of with you about, taking a running back in like an actual draft. Like, don't take them unless you have like a guaranteed home run within the first round. But here, I mean, just knowing what we know now with the benefit of hindsight, like Ingram's a good running back that even like he can be a cornerstone for that offense. And I know they need to build the offensive line, but like I think because they've needed a running back for so long. Like Kenyon Drake was like, eh. But other than like if they can have one that's like top 15 for sure, like top 12 maybe, I think that's just. And they don't have another first, like I don't think they don't have another first round pick. So I think at that point, like I'd take Ingram. But I mean, honestly, like there's better players on the board, like Cameron Hayward's still on the board, Doug Baldwin's still on the board. But it's more of just about fit.
Yeah.
Need. That's why I went with that.
Okay. Mike, 16?
So real quick, I don't have enough, like I'm going to be doing this mock basically just like on the fly from now on. We should probably, because from here on out, like there's still some good players, like Cam Hayward's still on the board and all those guys, but like we should move like a little bit quicker.
Should we just run through, like we don't have to ask who everyone else had. Maybe the person can just like say their pick and one or two things, like
let's do that.
One or two reasons why. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 16 Redskins originally picked Ryan Kerrigan. I have KJ Wright here. Still a very solid starter. He's a multiple-time Pro Bowler for the Seahawks a couple years ago. I mean, yeah, pretty much just perfect replacement for Kerrigan.
Yeah, I like that. And then at 17, I had Doug Baldwin going to the Patriots. I think it would be really cool to see such a good route runner play with Brady. I think he would have been able to explode, would have caught a ton of balls. I mean, he's an excellent, just absolutely fabulous receiver, probably underrated, and seeing him play within that offense would be pretty fun.
His chemistry with Russell Wilson was so good. I feel like injuries kind of cut his career short, but he was, again, one of the most underrated receivers in the league. Like his route running was so good, and he was undersized, but he just managed to make plays over and over again for that Seattle offense. So I think that's a solid pick. I'm going to go – so this is 19 with New York.
18.
Oh, 18 with San Diego, right?
Yeah.
I'd go Cam Hayward here.
Okay.
Mostly because just like I still feel like he's super slept on. But if you look at his stats, I mean, Pro Bowler for the last 3 years, near 10 sacks, played in a bunch of games, forced a couple fumbles every year. I think he's just super solid, and he could just be. He's like he also is a first team too, so I think. No, like his consistency, he's been super consistent at the end of his career. He's just like a worse Cam Jordan, in my opinion. So I feel like you got to take him at 18 because you're still getting good value for a pass rusher.
Yeah.
All right. 19 Giants originally picked Prince Amukamara. I have them taking Chris Harris here, who fell a little bit on my draft board, but like you said, one of the best players in that Denver defense in 2015. He was last year too. I mean, he has been pretty much his entire career. Um, Obviously, they needed a quarterback or a cornerback, and Chris Harris is there. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I had Chris Harris going there too. And then at 20, I had DeMarco Murray going to Tampa.
Wow.
Their running back situation at the time was not great. DeMarco Murray was obviously great in Dallas, but he went to Tennessee and made a Pro Bowl too. So, I mean, it wasn't just the O-line in Dallas. This guy's a top-tier running back, and that one season he had in Dallas was ridiculous. So, I mean, he's an excellent back that I think Tampa could have used at the time.
I think that's fair. Let's see. I'm at 21. Cleveland. I think you go Amukamara here.
Really?
He was just a solid corner for a couple of years. I mean, he never really made a Pro Bowler, but I think he was just always like one of the better cornerbacks in the league. So I feel like I take him here. Or you can go Jimmy Smith. I don't know. I feel like
I was gonna say. I mean, if you take any corner, I'd take Jimmy Smith over him. But so I had Marcel Darius there. Where I think, obviously he's no J.J. Watt or Von Miller, but like he still had a very solid career as an interior defensive lineman, and as a run stopper. He's still in the league with the Jags now. But yeah, and they originally picked some defensive tackle named Phil Taylor. So
just sounds so goofy. Who's 22?
22 is Mike. 22 is Mike because you just went Degnan.
Yeah.
21.
So 22 Colts. I had Anthony Costanzo, left tackle.
Yeah.
He's still their tackle to this day. I feel like that should tell you enough about how good he is. He will be for a couple more years too. So yeah,
he's just solid.
Yeah.
Was this Peyton's last year there? I think it was.
Peyton was hurt for a while. I don't think Peyton was playing at this time.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Huh. I don't know.
I think, but Costanzo's just been he's rarely hurt. Plays 16 games a year most of the time.
Never made a Pro Bowl, actually. I don't think, which is strange. But I mean,
I know. I think he's been solid though.
Yeah.
All right, Mort, let's hear it.
So 23, with Philly, they took Danny Watkins. I ended up having them go with KJ Wright here. I think Philly obviously they were working on the defensive side of the ball. KJ Wright, solid linebacker. That partnership he had with Bobby Wagner was ridiculous in the middle of that Seattle defense. And I think Philly could have used him, especially at the time. So that's why I went with KJ.
I mean, I think I'm New Orleans next.
Yeah.
So I think I'd probably take KJ too. Again, just a solid linebacker. I think I have. Yeah, I think I'd take KJ here.
I had him taking Rodney Hudson, just based off the fact that they don't have Kelsey anymore, so they need a center. And Rodney Hudson with the Raiders, I don't know how good he is nowadays, but I know he's been like a pretty solid offensive lineman in his career. Yeah,
that's fair. See so 25 is Seattle. Is that Mike?
Oh, did you do your?
I said I'd take KJ
right?
with New Orleans.
So 25 Seattle. I have Jimmy Smith. Going to be a good Richard Sherman replacement for a while. He kind of peaked in like 2016, 2017. Is pretty much declined.
Never made a Pro Bowl, which is interesting because I feel like I remember him being better.
Yeah. I think he's one of the best back in like 2016 or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah. So 25, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, that makes sense. 26 with Kansas City. They took a receiver. I actually stuck with the receiver, but I had him taking Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
Degnan will be
I
happy
think that's a
about
good
that
pick.
one. Yeah.
I mean, this is where a bunch of receivers should go because there's a lot of like late first round type talent with this receiving class.
Yeah.
Cobb was good. I mean, it was sad to see him go last year, but
Yeah.
I think
Good slot receiver for a while.
yeah, good slot receiver.
I like him, which is exactly why I hate to see him in Dallas. But,
I feel like there could be a reunion coming soon, to be honest.
Well, he's with the Texans though for like the next 3 years.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No reunion for you.
That sucks.
Sorry to break it to you.
No.
He's retiring in Houston.
You need to step away. It's all right.
27.
Right here.
I think this is the Baltimore. I think maybe they go Kyle Rudolph here. Maybe. I think Kyle Rudolph's probably a decent pick.
Yeah.
Because, I think
Forgot about Kyle Rudolph.
yeah, he's a second rounder, big tight end, good red zone threat. He's had some drops issues, and Minnesota fans have been kind of disappointed with his play as of late, and he's not a good fantasy tight end, knowing from experience. But I think he'd be a good fit with Harbaugh under the system. Because especially like now, the way Baltimore relies on their tight ends in their offense, like just imagining Kyle Rudolph now in that offense, he'd have a field day with just the amount of looks he'd get in the red zone and whatnot and blocking. But I think Baltimore takes him here.
Mike?
It's 28. That's me, right? 28. Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here I had I actually had DeMarco Murray instead of Mark Ingram.
Okay.
I think Murray at his peak was like obviously he's playing behind the Cowboys offensive line, but I think he probably would have put up similar numbers in New Orleans. I think his peak was a little bit better than Mark Ingram's peak than Mark Ingram now or like the past 2 years. Either way, I think like go either one. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I don't think this pick is too early to take a running back either. I think this is right around the time where like, all right, makes sense if you need it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right, 29 with Chicago. They took a tackle. Again, I stuck with a tackle, and it might be strange that I let this guy fall this far, but I have Nate Solder here.
Yeah. I had him going earlier, but I think he's a good tackle.
I originally had him going earlier, and then I had him fall in. But I think if Chicago had been able to get him here, that would have been an exceptional pick.
Agree with that.
I mean,
they were one B.J. Raji pick 6 away from a Super Bowl.
No, they were one Jay Cutler not going out of the game like a baby.
Yeah. Oh, Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler's a legend. Have you heard of the stuff he's been doing recently?
No.
He's just been causing so much drama online. I think he's getting divorced, but some of his quotes, just he says, it's just so funny.
He's such like a. He almost went to the Fox broadcast booth though.
I know. Apparently, he was so good. I heard he was like a stud in the broadcast booth, but he just didn't take the job or whatever. I don't know.
No, he signed with the Dolphins though for like $10 million.
He did, but he got $10 million though.
Like, why would you want like a 35-year-old Jay Cutler as your quarterback?
I mean, he took the $10 million. He got paid a bunch. It was like 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have
the Jets.
They took Muhammad Wilkerson here. I say they do it again. I mean, he's just Wilkerson, never a Pro Bowler, I don't think, but he was just always an interior force. Good run defender. Found 5 or 6 sacks a year for a couple of years. Had some injury problems, but like other than that, he was just a solid defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike?
Steelers 31. I had another offensive tackle, Marcus Gilbert. I don't think we should really waste any time talking about him.
No.
He's solid, but still their offensive. Well, I think he's the Cardinals' offensive tackle now, but
Yeah.
So, Mike, you're telling me you don't want to do your own pod dedicated to Marcus Gilbert?
Mike
I would do one about offensive linemen all day.
This is Mike's side pod. His main pod is just offensive linemen.
It's offensive lineman talk with Mike.
Yeah.
All right.
32. You gonna draft
32,
Rodgers replacement?
again, doesn't need a lot of explaining. I had Marcus Cannon going to the Packers.
I thought you would take Andy Dalton as Rodgers' eventual replacement.
Dalton's got to sit by for
a decade.
11 years.
I think Rodgers is like 28 or 20.
Just coming off a Super Bowl MVP performance, like on top of the world.
Needs his backup,
Just takes his backup. I think we were kind of slumming towards the end, but
they could have used Dalton for those few games when they had to start was it Finley?
No, it was Matt Flynn, but Matt Flynn. He set the record against the Lions with
Matt Flynn was good. Matt Flynn was good.
Yeah, and then he got paid in Seattle, and then he eventually got overtaken by Russell Wilson. The rest is history, but Matt Flynn got his money after grinding behind.
Mad respect to Matt Flynn.
Mad respect. Matt Flynn.
Okay, so we did a pretty good job with this. We were kind of the end of these rounds are always a little tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall with this draft, it's just the top is so deep. 6 Hall of Fame level players drafted in the first 6 picks.
Well, all of these guys are, except for a couple, all of these guys are still started in the NFL today.
Yes, and still making an impact. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think again, this QB draft, my God, I feel bad for all these teams that took a quarterback, especially when they could have gotten really good value and then maybe taken a quarterback the following year.
Yeah.
Either Luck, Wilson, or RG3. But this draft class is so deep, and it's just such a crapshoot at the later picks too, because there were some busts.
Yeah.
But
all right.
That's it. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Dark you tomorrow?
Yes. So Dark. Okay. What we are doing tomorrow, if you're still listening, we are doing the Dark Knight rewatch. So Mort has not seen the movie. I've seen it a couple times. Mike's seen it more times than he can count. So we're gonna rewatch it tonight.
That's true.
Come in with our own opinions and thoughts and ready to share. And
also, it's kind of a longer movie, but we would highly encourage you all to watch. Any listeners out there?
Yeah. It's one of those movies you can rewatch anytime. It's still it's the same. So look forward to that tomorrow. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to us. Follow us on Instagram at whatisthebuzz and on Twitter at wbuzzin. Spotify and YouTube playlist in our description. And thanks again. So until next time, keep buzzing.